Hi guys, welcome to another episode of Football Obsession. This is actually episode 30, so I just want to say thank you for all your support so far. It's like the 35th video on the channel, but it's episode 30 of the Football Obsession podcast. It's a bit of a different podcast today as Fadz is unable to get his camera on. It's just not working for some reason. And the other guest that we were supposed to have had sort of cancelled. So I had to sort of delay the stream for a bit. So I just wanted to explain. That. And we're just going to be reviewing the Premier League game week results. If I seem a bit like sort of stuttering a bit, I just feel a bit nervous right now because, again, I've gone live half an hour late. But at the end of the day, it's been a good game week for us. For United, and it's certainly been a good game week for you as well as a Chelsea fan, aren't you? You're a Chelsea fan.
Yeah, of course. Yeah, it's been an excellent week. 3-0 win against Newcastle away at the St. James's Park. And Reece James has made it his own park. So, it's a very good result. And, we keep the momentum going. I'm currently watching the Chelsea game right now in the Champions League. It's currently a bit of a dry score. So yeah, just mind me if I react a bit late. I'm sorry. It's just because the match is on.
That will be all right. That will make it more interesting.
Yeah.
We're going to start off with that sort of the results in sort of order of the day. So obviously Saturday and then Sunday and then yesterday.
Yeah, no problem.
We'll start off with the Leicester Arsenal game, and sort of going into that thinking Leicester. You're sort of expecting Leicester to at least give Arsenal a game, but it weren't the case.
Definitely, yeah.
Did you watch this game?
I actually had the ideology of Leicester just absolutely destroying Arsenal, but Arsenal actually proved me wrong. Arsenal, they turned up. Smith Rowe, they had their front line firing. They were on point. Didn't I? Like when Leicester, they lost possession, Arsenal were just on it in a flash. So I was really impressed with them. That's a good result. And Ramsdale, man, being man of the match, he saved them on a few occasions. So yeah, that's very good from Arsenal. That 2-0 win.
It certainly is very good. It sort of, again, solidifies what I've been saying on this channel a few times over the past few weeks. Arsenal seems to have sort of solidified their place in improving. As much as we like to joke about Arsenal, take the piss out of them. They've sort of got a lot better as the weeks have gone on throughout the season so far. And Leicester, they've just sort of not started well at all. They've sort of fell off a cliff, so to speak, in comparison to last season and previous seasons. Do you think that's because the league's getting more competitive, or do you think they're struggling with injuries and not found the feet yet?
I think that Leicester, it's just getting more competitive because you have to look at West Ham. West Ham are coming up. You have to put them in this top six as well because they're performing outstandingly. And Leicester, I think because of injuries and having that lack of chemistry, the start in the season, they haven't started off well at all. And, in my opinion, I don't think they're going to make top four again. I think Brendan Rodgers is going to bottle it as always. So
yeah, I agree with you. Yeah, I completely agree. I don't think they will get top four. I don't even think they're going to be closer. I think it's going to be definitely a race between United, City, Liverpool, and Chelsea in that top four race for the title, so to speak. Well, I hope United can drag it back. But it's sort of, again, it's not looking great for Leicester fans at the moment. Even though they've got Fadz and I doing well, it's not looking that great. But we're going to move on to a team where it's looking absolutely amazing for them. Burnley. When do you ever see Burnley score 3 goals in one game?
You don't see that very often. You don't see that very often, and I hope I don't see it in the next game because we've got them next at Stamford Bridge. So,
I hope we see it then.
No. Burnley have really impressed me against Brentford as well. Brentford, mate, they've started the season off outstandingly. They've been playing out of the skin. They're being Arsenal. They give us a good game. They've drew with Liverpool. They've had great results, and to see Burnley actually go to Brentford and beat them by 3-1, that's a great result. So
it's an outstanding result.
It absolutely is, and you don't really see Burnley getting 3 goals in one game. It's very rare. So yeah.
You've got Maxwell Carne getting on the score sheet again as well.
He's really impressed me, man. He should be in everyone's fantasy football league, man. Literally, that guy is probably giving everyone points. If he carries on like this, he's going to be Burnley's best ever signing because I don't think they've made a good signing like that.
Yeah, probably. Yeah, because he's looking absolutely unbelievable.
He is.
I've not seen that much of him. I remember seeing him against, I think it was against City in the quarterfinal of the Champions League, and he had a great performance. However, like I've not seen that much of him, and he seems to have really impressed me. And Burnley, like you're sort of thinking, could this be the season where they go down? Could it be that one season too many for Sean Dyche when you've got teams like Brentford that have come up? You've got all the league getting competitive, bar Norwich now, and maybe it won't be. Maybe he'll just pull some of these results out of the bag, like last season. They beat Everton 3-1. They beat Brentford 3-1. Maybe he's going to pull these results out of the bag. Can you see Brentford staying up, or can you? Burnley staying up, or can you see Burnley going down?
I can definitely see Burnley staying up. They are going to lose a few games, but they are going to get some important points, what will probably push them through to stay up. I don't see Burnley getting relegated because they haven't been relegated in a while. So I think Sean Dyche will probably survive with them this season.
Yeah, I agree with
you. Maybe next season when Norwich are like relegated and stuff, and there's no Norwich or there's new like teams coming up. It might be harder for Burnley, but I think this season they've got to stay up because Sean Dyche, he's not a terrible manager. He's not the worst manager in the world. I'm sure he's still got it in there to get a few good points, a few good wins. So yeah, I think they're going to stay up.
I would argue Sean Dyche is one of the most underrated managers in the league, in the sense that the budget that they spend, that they sort of have, well, Sean Dyche has with Burnley, it's like a shoestring budget where he's not spending basically anything bar this summer just gone.
And do you know what it is with Sean Dyche as well? You have to understand that he doesn't have a big budget, and he must have absolutely been buzzing when he signed Cornet, because that must have been his best ever signing, to be honest. Like a £50 million signing for Burnley is a big thing. That's like winning the Champions League for them. It's a big signing that, and I think Cornet is going to be like probably one of the best ever players, man, in that position because of that signing role as well.
Of course,
if he stays at that club and becomes a legend, you never know what's going to happen.
Of course, yeah. He's obviously not like, he's not going to set the league alight, but he's certainly doing well so far. He's not doing terribly at all. And it's not looking good on the other side for Brentford, where they started amazingly. They got that first 2-0 win over Arsenal, and then I think they won 2, drew 2, and lost 2 or something like that in the first 6. And now I think they've lost like 3 or 4 on the row. Can you see them being a genuine possibility that they could get relegated, or do you think they stay up?
What was that again? You misheard because my earphones are being a bit...
Okay. Do you see being a genuine possibility where Brentford could get relegated, or do you think they're going to stay up because they're struggling to get some wins?
No. I think they're going to stay up. It's probably just a little blip because they'll be winning games, and teams have kind of found out how they play. So I think it's just a little blip. I think Thomas Frank will have you'll have the full momentum to get them back up and running with wins. Plus they've got an easy game next. I think they've got Norwich, so playing Norwich. I wish we could play Norwich every week, all of us, but it's just a free win, that, to be honest.
Yeah, it's a free win.
I think they'll absolutely smash Norwich.
Yeah, they most certainly will. And there's no better team really to play against when you're not on a good run of form than Norwich. It's like you say, it's a free win, and it sort of boosts the players' confidence, especially a team that's just come up from the Championship.
Yeah, absolutely, yeah. And Norwich, man, they're wasting their time in this league, man. I don't even know how they get promoted every time in the Premier League, but literally, what's the point of getting promoted when you're going to get knocked back down? It's happened twice in a row now. It's getting ridiculous. It really is.
100%. We'll come on to them soon. We'll move on to the Newcastle 0, Chelsea 3. Obviously, you were. I assume. Did you watch the game? I assume you did.
Yeah, I watched the game. Yeah.
I didn't catch the game. It was obviously it was a 3 o'clock game here, and they're not obviously televised. Although I managed to catch the City game. So, do you want to tell me what you thought of that game? Sort of, obviously, you can tell me more in depth than sort of you can tell me about most other games, because obviously,
I'll tell you what went on in the first half. It wasn't the best from Chelsea. Ziyech wasn't at his best. Our attacking forwards, Havertz, we had the Hudson-Odoi, they weren't combining well. And then Tuchel in the second half, he switched it up. He took Ziyech off, put Ross Barkley, Ruben Loftus-Cheek on, and them lot just completely changed the game. And then You know, we had more chances, and then, you know, Reece James, one of the best right backs in the league, arguably, he just buried his chance, and then he had another chance. He scored 2 goals, and he could have got a hat trick if Jorginho wasn't so selfish. But yeah, he played outstandingly, man. Now, we are so lucky to have Reece James in our team, because all of our attacking fullbacks know how to score goals. There is goals all over Chelsea's team. Like, if Chelsea strikers like Lukaku, like, he wasn't scoring for us. Timo Werner's not scoring for us. We can always rely on other players, like in the midfield, you know, in the full back positions, in the centre back positions. So it's all going good for Chelsea so far. And if Chelsea keep this momentum up, I think they can win the league.
Yeah, I agree with you. I think they can win the league. Obviously, I know Chelsea are playing now. However, I just want to ask you your opinion in a minute about Romelu Lukaku, because I've been of the opinion when Lukaku was at United, he scored a lot of goals. There was absolutely no doubt he scored a lot of goals. But as a player in the game, I feel like he struggled, and to me, it seems like he's struggling at Chelsea with that same issue. People take the mick out of his first touch, etc. But I feel like there's a bigger issue where he struggles to be in the game and to work around the game a lot of the time. Do you see that being a sort of issue going forward in the season for Chelsea? As I've seen, Chelsea may be interested in a striker in January, or do you think that you'll be fine and bounce back with him?
No, I think we'll be fine. I think he'll come good. It's just our team. We're not giving him the good service. You know, he's not getting a good enough service. And, you know, every time you see Lukaku, he doesn't need to drop back. Like Antonio Conte, who's now Tottenham's manager, he said it in one of his press conferences a few months back. He goes, when Chelsea are going to use Lukaku, they need to use him in a certain position where he doesn't drop back, because Lukaku doesn't like dropping back and helping out, you know, the rest of the team. He prefers to play as a frontman, where the chances are given to him. He can take a touch, he can score, because that's what Romelu Lukaku is all about. And I don't think Chelsea are giving him that much of an opportunity. Like, the team, they're not giving him them chances, you know, them clear-cut chances you get. The only good chance I think Lukaku has had is in the Aston Villa game and in the Arsenal game, because that's the only games he scored in the Premier League. And it's just abysmal that Chelsea can't get the best out of him. And, you know, you look at these Chelsea players, they got Mason Mount, got Kai Havertz, they got Timo Werner, they got class players. You can't say Chelsea's players are bad, but I don't understand how, like, Lukaku's now getting that, you know, that service.
Yeah, of
when
course.
Timo Werner last season was getting a lot of service and he was missing them.
Yeah. Well, for me, like, when I'm saying, so I always gave the example, as much as Timo Werner sort of became like a meme, I always said to be even able to create that amount of opportunities, you've got to be a class player to be able to get into them spaces. There's a reason why. Let me give an example of Anthony Martial. He doesn't get into them spaces to create them goals or to create them opportunities, whether he puts them away or not.
Mm-hmm.
So I always said Timo Werner's a class player, and if he turned on his finishing, it'd be like one of the best players in the world.
Definitely.
But with Lukaku, it seems like you say, he's not getting enough service, and maybe the system just doesn't fit him. Obviously, there can be unfortunate circumstances where you've spent a lot of money on a player. We spent, we didn't buy him, but we were paying Alexis Sanchez a lot of money. And Alexis Sanchez, as much as his attitude was bad, the system didn't fit Alexis Sanchez.
Yeah, definitely. I think it's the same thing with Lukaku. Yeah. I think if Tuchel wants to get the best out of Lukaku, he needs to, you know, play a certain role, what suits him best. Like Conte said a few months back, but Tuchel's not dumb enough. He's not going to change it up because it's already working for Chelsea. So if the whole team's scoring, why should Tuchel not change it up just for one player?
No, I completely agree with you. I completely agree. And so that's why it's the same with United as well.
Yeah, and that's why I think Tuchel's in a bit of a dilemma. If he can't get the best out of Lukaku, and then he switched to a formation or to some tactics, what get the best out of Lukaku, then the rest of the team won't be on form. You know what I mean? So you can't change something what's working. So I think Tuchel's going to stick with this formation, the 3-4-3.
Yeah, of course. Yeah, I'm going to ask your opinion about Newcastle as well. So obviously they got taken over by new owners. It's been all over the past like month or so. So there's a lot of debate whether they're going to stay up in the Premier League. They're still winless at the moment, and if they stay up, they could manage to get a few good players next summer. I know they're going to splash the money about. Mm-hmm. However, obviously, if they get relegated, it's going to be a difficult situation to get these sort of players. Do you think they're going to manage to stay up? There's links with like Unai Emery there, or do you think that squad's just a championship squad and they're going to go down?
Do you know what it is with Newcastle? They've got billionaire owners, as everyone knows, and if they get relegated, it's not over for them. They can still win the championship easily. They can easily finish first in the championship if they get relegated, and then they can start building their way back. But that's only if they get relegated. Right now, they still got a chance of staying up. And by appointing Unai Emery, who knows the Premier League a bit, I think they will stay up. They've got quality players. You can't say Newcastle have got a crap team. They've got Saint-Maximin. They've got Callum Wilson. They've got Ryan Fraser. He's a quality player. So I don't understand how I can see Newcastle dropping down, but it could happen. But they really need to start getting some wins in their matches.
100%. Well, like when Steve Bruce was managing them, like obviously earlier on in the season, they started well. I know they didn't get a win, but the way they were playing, it's like this isn't the Newcastle that we all know as like sort of young people. They were playing a sort of very attacking way. I remember that they got the game against West Ham. Newcastle West Ham was 4-2, and Callum Wilson and Saint-Maximin were doing really well. However, they just seem to be struggling to get a win. And a team who aren't struggling to do well, we're going to go on to Crystal Palace. What a win against City that was. I think we've both probably got a smile on our face with City losing here.
Definitely. Yeah, that was an amazing win. Like Conor Gallagher on loan from Chelsea, helping Chelsea out. Like, what more do we want,
I
City
mentioned
are 5
last
points
season
behind us, and Liverpool dropped points, but we'll talk about Liverpool after. But this City Crystal Palace game, City they weren't at their best, and I did not expect them to lose 2-0 to Crystal Palace. I know Palace a few seasons ago have beat them 3-2, but you look now at Manchester City. They spent 100 million on Jack Grealish. What's Jack Grealish done? He's not really showed that he's a £100 million player. He's not, and their striking, their striker problem, whatever it is. If City want to challenge again for the Premier League, if they want to win the Premier League again, I think they need a striker, because last season they had what's his name, Kun Aguero. They had a lot of good players in form. Right now, their team isn't in form, so you can't write off City just yet. But if City, City lost 5-2 to Leicester last season, and they still won the Premier League, like that sort of thing can happen again, where City just go on a 20-run games like unbeaten, and they can really switch it on. But right now, they're looking a bit not so good.
Of course, yeah, of course. I want to mention about Conor Gallagher. I tweeted sort of when Conor Gallagher was doing well. It was on my old account. I wish I still had that account. I said that he's a class player. He's just struggling in that West Brom team when he was on loan there. And I really, really rate Conor Gallagher. Like, I genuinely take him at United. Maybe not over like every midfielder. Obviously, there definitely not over every midfielder there, but I'd certainly take him at United as a squad player. I think he's a really good player. And it seems Patrick Vieira is sort of starting to build something at Crystal Palace. It doesn't look like it's like, let's say, David Moyes' West Ham currently, but it looks like he's building something where they're definitely going to stay up.
Yeah, he's definitely building a project. By signing Conor Gallagher on loan, it's probably going to be a harsh reality when Chelsea want him back from his loan, because look how good he's doing at Crystal Palace. What if Chelsea said to Palace, like, he's only on loan, you can't buy him? Then that's a smack in Palace's face. But if Palace really want to buy him, they're going to have to pull the money out for him, because his performances are going to determine his value now. And he's playing so good. He's still young. He's still got we can even send him back on loan to another club. It's up to Chelsea now, because Chelsea own the actual player. So, if I was I'm a Chelsea fan right now, and I'm thinking, look how good Conor Gallagher's doing, and Ziyech at Chelsea is not doing so well. I'm saying sell Ziyech, bring in Gallagher. There, problem solved in that creative role. There you go. But it all depends on Palace if they want to spend the money. And it's Patrick Vieira's doing a very good job. He's building a project at Crystal Palace. So he's chosen the right step to his career as well. He's not done a Lampard where he's going straight to Arsenal, to a big club. No. He's not done that. Like Lampard, he had the opportunity to go to a smaller club, but he came to Chelsea and it didn't work out. Whereas Vieira's chosen the right step. So I've got to rate Patrick Vieira. I think he's going to be a phenomenal manager in the future. Definitely.
Yeah, of course.
He's doing a great job at Palace, and yeah, I can't see it going wrong for Palace. I think they're going to be outstanding this season.
Yeah, they look good already, and you've got Michael. I'm not sure how to pronounce it fully. I think it's Michael Elise who's doing well, and they've obviously got Eberici Eze who's doing really well as well.
Yeah, he's quality. He's quality. They got Zaha as well. Like Zaha, you heard some rumors a few seasons ago that he wanted to go to Arsenal, and Crystal Palace were like denying his move. And still, like that sort of player, like mentally, he could be thinking about another move to some other club, but you got to rate Zaha for actually staying at Palace, being professional, because not many athletes these days be professional, and he stuck with the club, and you could argue that he's being Patrick Vieira's best player, and that's why he's always choosing him, and I've got to rate Zaha for his attitude, and Crystal Palace just about the way they play. Like against Arsenal, they got really unlucky, and Arsenal were really poor that game. Like I expected Palace to at least like run out and take the 3 points, but Arsenal, when they get a last minute winner, they act like the Champions League final win.
So, yeah. Of course, yeah.
I felt a bit sorry for him as well, and Vieira, because they played absolutely good and they deserved to win that game.
Yeah, they did play very well, especially in the second half. They played well. Obviously, Arsenal were just very lucky with that last minute goal to equalise. But like you mentioned briefly about City's striker issue there, would you, if you were a City fan, obviously it's hard to put yourself in another club's shoes. Yeah. But if you were a City fan, would you rather have spent 150 million on Harry Kane than spend 100 million on Jack Grealish? Now you know what you know, rather than not knowing, obviously, how City are doing in the summer.
I would have definitely prioritised on a striker.
Yeah.
Haaland, Harry Kane, someone who's clinical in front of goal. Don't get me wrong, Grealish is an outstanding player. I love the guy. He's English born and bred, he's from Villa, where I'm from. So, he's a very good player, but spending that much money on him when he's not worth that much and he's not really delivering, right now, City fans must see that we didn't really need Grealish. We need a striker. Because now they're struggling to get goals. They didn't need a creator at all, because they can create goals from other positions. Kevin De Bruyne, Gundogan, you got Gabriel Jesus, you got Mahrez, you got Phil Foden. I don't understand why they even bought Grealish, but Grealish is gonna have a good career at Man City, but I think City should have really gone for a striker like Haaland or Kane.
Yeah, I completely agree. I don't agree with that. I've seen City fans saying Shiki out. I'm not sure how I pronounce it. Shiki out, which is their board or one of their board members.
Never. Their board's actually a good board, to be honest. They spend a lot of money.
One of the best in the world.
Exactly, it's one of the best in the world. I don't understand why they're complaining.
I completely agree. I completely agree with you. We'll move on here to Southampton versus Watford. Obviously, it wasn't the best game. It's quite at the moment, it's a relegation scrap. Shea Adams, who I don't know, there's something about him where I rate him. It's the way he plays in the game. There's something about him that I like. And he managed to get on the score sheet there. Did you manage to catch this game?
Yeah, I watched the goals, the highlights on the Sky Sports app. I watched it a bit, and Shea Adams, he's absolutely clinical when he needs to be. That goal was superb. And Southampton are really impressing me. They've got Livramento, they've got that Armando Broja, who's actually a very good player. He's on loan from Chelsea. Southampton definitely staying up. Southampton, they've got a good manager as well, Ralph Hasenhüttl. I think he's a very good manager, and I don't see Southampton winning a lot of games, but they will win enough to stay up.
Yeah, I completely agree with you. I'm just going to address a comment here. Dia says this isn't live, but if you're reading this, thoughts on lineups, it is live. I've had to sort of delay the stream. Dia, I explained at the start of the stream, there's quite a few complications. I'm just going to go through the lineup here, Fads, just as a sort of interruption to this. It wouldn't normally happen. So we've gone with that back five again. De Gea, Varane, Maguire, Bailly, Wan-Bissaka, Shaw. Mm-hmm. Pogba, McTominay, Fernandes, Rashford, Ronaldo. I love that lineup, dear. I'll mention it further when we review United's game. That lineup to me, with that five at the back, that were
he's keeping on his job.
That, and I'm gonna say this now, and also I'll probably touch on it when we review our game, as in United's game. It doesn't have to be a five at the back, sat back defending. It can be a five at the back. Five at the back on the halfway line, for example, just as an example. It's not going to be, but just an example. And I feel like don't change what's not broken, especially when we need to play 5 at the back against City at weekend. Don't go and change it back to that 4 at the back in the middle of the week. I agree with that lineup. I can see a lot of people not really agreeing. Maybe I would have started Van der Beek, but again, I mentioned this on my Q&A. He's not going to start Van der Beek, so I'm not just going to keep moaning about that. There's nothing that I can do about that. We'll move on though to Liverpool versus Brighton. Now, one of the goals that was on this thumbnail, Mwepu, I think his name is pronounced. What a goal it was! Did you see the goal?
I didn't see it. I wasn't watching the game, but I heard it was a very good result for him.
Yeah, it was very good. I didn't manage to catch the game, however. Let's just say, like I've had quite a few debates with people over this past week, and I'm sure many United fans have, about who my future manager would be at United if Ollie was to be sacked. And I would argue Graham Potter. However, a lot of people are saying not. For me, the way Graham Potter goes to he's just gone to Anfield and give them a game. It was unbelievable. It was unbelievable. And the reason why this video is titled Lucky United is because not only did we win 3-0 and we played very well, but Liverpool drop points and City drop points as well. So that's obviously plays into being lucky. So do you think Liverpool are just do you think it seems like they're going to run away with this league, or do you think maybe United will catch up, Chelsea will also challenge, and City will challenge?
I think Liverpool are going to struggle. Their midfield and their defence is leaking goals in. That's not a shot fired at Liverpool. Liverpool can turn up the gears anytime they want. But right now, Liverpool, you had a 2-0 win. You had a 2-0 lead against Brighton and you bottled it, I don't know, man, because them results have started happening quite recently as well. Like, they drew to Brentford, now they drew to Brighton, it could happen again. So I'm not sure about Liverpool. It's just very inconsistent. They need to start keeping a consistency of wins, and then I can properly judge. But right now, I'm obviously going for my own team, Chelsea, to run away with it. But, same with Chelsea as well. Chelsea could be winning and they could end up like drawing to a team who they're supposed to be. They could end up losing to a team who they're supposed to be, So I think we can properly judge the Premier League wins, like the Premier League wins in matches in December, because December is probably the toughest fixtures.
Yeah, and it's obviously a very crazy run in December. There's about like 5 to 10 game weeks in December. It's going to be a very, very sticky schedule with the channel in December, because there's obviously, like I say, there's a tough run coming up, but in the sense of so many games squashed into 1 month, as well as Christmas, etc. But I'm very glad. Obviously, I'm sure you're very glad again that Liverpool have dropped points. It certainly helps. It certainly helps Chelsea, and it definitely helps us.
Yeah, I was delighted, man, once they draw points, because it certainly helps us in the march towards the Premier League title. But I'm not going to write off Liverpool just yet. No, but if they keep going like this, then definitely I'm going to say that they're not winning the league. But right now, they still got a chance. They're only 3 points behind us, and it's not even December yet, so you can't really you can't really write off a team just yet.
No, of course not. Of course not. I'm going to move on to our game now, and we will speak about Spurs appointing Conte as well. Now, I don't know if you managed to catch this game, but I thought it was low-key one of the best performances I've seen from United this season. And there's certainly not many performances where you can go, that is the best performance that I've seen from a United team, or that is a great performance that I've seen from a United team. But it was a good performance. It was a very professional performance. It was needed. People were moaning about the 5 at the back, and I definitely was going into the game. But things needed to be changed up. And I was having a sort of debate with someone on Twitter about this. I said this was early on in the game. I've just looked over there because I've just seen a spider, and I'm absolutely frightened of spiders. So
it's all right.
I'll be wary of that.
Oh yeah, Hakim Ziyech just scored. Did he? Yeah. Scored, yeah. Brilliant. I'm happy.
So 1-0 Chelsea. That
yeah, it's 1-0 Chelsea.
Yeah. So I was saying this was like early on in the game, let's say 20 minutes, maybe 10 minutes into the game. The 5 at the back and the selection of the 2 defensive midfielders in McTominay and Fred, in my opinion, this isn't the United way at all. And someone on Twitter replied to me and said, I agree 5 at the back isn't the United way, but we've been playing 4 at the back and it's just not been great. And I think the 2 midfielders now get less defensive duties and are more box-to-box players. I think Donny would be great in there too. Now, as much as Donny's probably not going to play, I think he was just giving an example. And I agree, this 5 at the back maybe isn't the United way, but at the moment, and I was discussing this with my driving instructor yesterday, and at the moment, he's a United fan, and he was saying, you've just got to get them wins. When you're struggling to get a win and you've just lost 5-0 against your biggest rivals, you've got to get that win. And a 3-0 win was a very, very good win. I thought it was like people, you know how people say McFred, for example. Yeah. I didn't think it was McFred. I thought it was McTominay and Fred playing. However, the partnership of McFred is known as sort of two midfielders there to protect the back 4, which don't even do that properly, and do 2 midfielders doing one man's job, which can't even do that properly. Now, I thought McTominay was very good in that box-to-box role. I don't know if you managed to catch it, but would you say McTominay is a good enough player to start as a box-to-box player for United?
McTominay, he has his good games, he has his bad games, but he's not consistent enough. So my answer is no. I think McTominay, sometimes when he's playing good, he gets a lot of praise from the United fans. You know, the United fans start getting gassed. They start saying, you know, McTominay, he's performing so good, and same with Fred. You know, Fred, he's not a terrible player. You can't put him as he's the worst player in the world, but he's not good enough for Man United, because I grew up watching Man United as well, even though I'm a Chelsea fan, you know, who hasn't grown up watching United. United came with players like Scholes, you know, you had your Roy Keane, you had your big players there. And now that you've got McTominay and Fred who aren't doing so well, I think United should just get the checkbook out and just sell them.
I personally wouldn't sell. Maybe I would sell Fred. Maybe I would sell McTominay. I certainly wouldn't sell both. If I had the choice, I would sell Fred. I don't know who I'd bring in as a replacement. Whether that will be, I don't know the situation with Yves Bissouma at the moment. I know he played the other day. However, obviously there's been a lot of controversy around the stuff he's allegedly
the prison
done.
And
I have to say it. Like I say, I have to say allegedly on here. And Rice, people are saying Rice, but he would cost about 100 million. Whether United, our board would do that, I have no idea.
You know what it is with Declan Rice? You know what it is with Declan Rice? I think if he came to Manchester United, he would absolutely prove haters wrong. Like, he'll do a great job, better than McTominay, better than Fred. But then again, if you're going to sell one of them, it's going to be quite tricky to get Rice, because Rice is 100 million. You know, it's just paying that price tag, and like, what if it doesn't work out? And you know, Rice is linked with like Liverpool, he's linked with Chelsea, as you all know. He's linked with a few of the clubs as well. I don't know who else he's linked to, but I'm sure he's probably linked to more than Manchester United and Chelsea.
Yeah.
So spending all that money on one player, 100 million, and he's English and he doesn't do well. You know how the media is. You know how they turn on players.
Yeah,
it could be a bad move as well. So. But in my opinion, if Declan Rice comes to Chelsea or he comes to Manchester United, he'll do a very good job. But it's always a risk spending that much money on one player. Like look at Man City when they spent 100 million on Jack Grealish. It hasn't worked out well, and he's getting so much slander. And I wouldn't want that for Declan Rice, because he's Chelsea through and through as well.
Yeah. Oh yeah. I've heard about him being a Chelsea fan. Which means he probably will lean towards going to Chelsea. But I'm going to ask you about Marcus Rashford here now. Like I was saying on the Q&A the other day that I did, yesterday, in fact, Marcus Rashford he was 24 yesterday, and he's already one of my favourite players ever. Not just because of his footballing, as a player, but because of how he conducts himself and helps people off of the pitch.
Man, you know what it is with Rashford? I really like the guy. He's a very, very good person on and off the pitch. He's a good footballer, but forget about his footballing abilities. What he does off the pitch, you know, helping kids out, doing charity work, is absolutely unbelievable. Like, you know, God bless him, man. He's a very good player, very good person as well.
Yeah, of course. I don't know. I love every player at United. I will never say, oh, I hate that player, etc. I love every player. But there's something about Rashford where I'm like, I love him a lot more than everyone else. Like protect him at all costs, sort of thing. And I just always will. I don't know. There's something about me that just seems to favour Rashford, whether that's because he's from Manchester himself. I think it's a mixture of things. I think a lot of it, though, does go into the fact of him helping like young people, children, young people, and inspiring, not just that, but inspiring families worldwide, inspiring people to sort of speak up for their beliefs and stuff like that. I love the way he conducts himself, and he's won. He's got an MBE and he's got an honorary doctorate, and he's not even bragged about that. Like, do you know what I mean? A lot of players would.
Very
a lot
humble
of players,
bloke. Very humble bloke.
Very, very. And he's obviously he got a lot of slander last season because he was injured a lot of the season, and even though he was doing great, he was injured and he couldn't perform to the best of his ability. But he's now got 3 goals in 4 appearances, and I think 2 of them was a sub. So, do you think he is one of the best wingers in the league, or do you disagree with that?
I think he is. I'm not just going to say because he's a nice person. He's actually performing well. He's been probably one of your best players so far, alongside Bruno and you got your Ronaldo as well. But yeah, Marcus Rashford, man, he's really put like all the hate he's got in the past, all the slander he's got from people. He's really put that aside and starting to prove a lot of people wrong. And Marcus Rashford, man, he's going to have a wonderful career. He's only 24 as well. You have to remember he's still very young. And, the work he's doing off the pitch is very motivating to a lot of people who are struggling out there. And, yeah, man, there's nothing to hear about Rashford. Like, there's nothing to hear about N'Golo Kante. There's nothing to hear about Rashford.
Of course. Yeah, of course. Literally, I completely agree with you. Yeah. This game was obviously dubbed as the El Sakiko. And me and my uncle, like, I watched the games with my uncle, and we both thought surely Nuno won't be sacked based on results. I know they've not been great, but the results haven't warranted a sacking, in my opinion. However, the performances were awful. Yeah. Do you believe that he deserved to be sacked?
Nuno, definitely. Definitely deserved to be sacked, because you have to understand that Tottenham, they tried going for Antonio Conte at the start, and then it failed, and then they got Nuno. So Nuno wasn't exactly the best choice to get at first, and it was always going to be a bad appointment to get as a manager. And now that they've sacked him, they've done the right thing, but realistically, they should have just put the money on the table at first and got Conte, and then they would have been in this position. It would have been easier for Conte as well. I think they would have been higher up in the league as well if they got Conte at the start.
Of course, and it seems that Harry Kane is down tools, and it's obviously not great to see as Harry Kane's a great footballer. And he seems to be he seemed to be a great professional before he went on Gary Neville's podcast and basically said that I want out. However, do you think Conte will just? My driving instructor, I was having a debate with him about this yesterday whilst on my lesson, and he was saying there seems to be a sort of a narrative where Conte may just drop Harry Kane and not accept any of this sort of what you would call bullshit, like this bullshit that Harry Kane's doing, where he's sort of down tools. Do you think he's undroppable because he could turn it on at any moment, or do you think that he should be dropped?
To be honest, any player is undroppable. Any player is droppable because if they're not listening to the manager, then and they're showing an attitude and they're not listening to what the manager's got to say, they're not performing well, then of course, the player who's doing that, they've got to be dropped. And Harry Kane, for me, he's not performed at his best level as he should be. But with Conte, I think Conte will turn his form around. If you can do it with Lukaku in the Serie A, I think you can do it with Harry Kane as well in the Prem. Even though the Prem is a little harder, but Harry Kane, you know how good Harry Kane is when he's at his best. Yes. He's absolutely world class. England captain. I love the guy, and to be honest, I wouldn't like to see him do bad because he wins me points on FPL as well. So Harry Kane, Tottenham player, should have not stayed in Tottenham. Should have gone to Man City, but things happen. He's staying now. He's got a manager who probably is going to believe in him a bit more, and I think he's gonna start fighting in goals, because Conte is going to absolutely, give him that motivation to do so.
Yeah, he'll kick it. He'll sort of give him like a hypothetical kick up the backside. Do you think that there will be an instant manager bounce with them, or do you think that it's going to take time? Because I think let's just say if Ollie was sacked after the Liverpool game, I don't think there would have been an instant bounce where it was like we go on a run like we did with Ollie when Mourinho was sacked. I think it will take time to implement these tactics, to implement everything that he needs to implement to the team. Or do you think there will be a bounce?
I think there will be a bounce. They've got decent fixtures, what they should win. Newcastle doing poor. We beat him 3-0. I expect Spurs with the new manager, Antonio Conte, and it's his first Premier League game, to get a result and then carry on that momentum in his second Premier League game, then on and on and on. So yeah, I think they will have a manager bounce.
Yeah, okay. That's interesting, that. Dia says here, Dia's just commenting and said, Kane gets so much bias from the pundits and press because he's in England captain. To be honest, he's not been doing well, shown no desire, but doesn't get mentioned enough. I do agree with
true.
that.
You know what? I agree with him, because you don't really see these pundits coming out and saying Harry Kane's he's doing bad because he's England captain. Like, I think this English bias needs to stop. It really does. It's getting pathetic now. Like, I think pundits need to start stepping up and start giving criticism to English players as well, because they always do it with non-English players. So why don't you give the English players a
like Pogba? If it was Pogba, Pogba's getting all the slack.
He'll get absolutely violated by Graham Souness and all these other pundits. So I don't see why Harry Kane's not getting the same type of problem.
Of course, I completely agree with you. I completely agree. I want to go on to a point here where, like, I'm really interested to see what you think here, because I've been having a debate with people whether, like, David Moyes is doing amazing at West Ham. However, it didn't work for him at United. We've been there, we've done that. We've literally been there. So, do you think West Ham is a perfect fit for David Moyes? Because it seems that he's building something very special there.
Yeah, I think David Moyes is doing a great job. West Ham, they weren't so good a while ago, and David Moyes, he's always been a good manager. That's why I think at Everton he did a good job. He didn't do very good at United though. He got the sack, and then the rest is history. But West Ham, man, the guy's really proving people wrong. Like, West Ham could get top 4, and that's all because of David Moyes' tactics and just the team playing so well together. Like families come together and have a positive vibes. I think that's how West Ham are playing. And I really think they're gonna get top 4. I really do. If I was a betting man, I'll put West Ham in there.
It's going to be an interesting race, obviously, because like we say, we've got United, City, Liverpool, and Chelsea all fighting for it as well.
And you got Tottenham as well, new manager. They could get it as well. So it's very unpredictable, the top 4. It always has been. And a top 4 race, man, is probably better than the title race, because it's always so last minute. It's always so edgy. A team can literally finish above another team with 1 point. It's always so close.
Yeah,
whereas the Premier League is not. The Premier League, like the top 2 in the Premier League, like sometimes the first place can just run away with it, but the top 4 is never like that.
Yeah, of course. I completely agree. Obviously, it's the Premier League as well, so it's always a difficult league. But I mentioned earlier on in this season, I would say maybe 10 weeks ago now on this channel, maybe it was not 10 weeks ago, but maybe it was like 8 weeks ago, about Said Benrahma. I seemed to rate him for getting in the goals and the assists. However, I seem to rate him without getting in the goals and the assists, but I seem to say he needs to get in the more goals and assists. So, and he started doing that now. He's just got an assist. What do you think about him?
I think Said Benrahma, he didn't start off so well, but now he's starting to get into his actual great form, what we've seen in Brentford. If you watched him in Brentford, just let me know, because in Brentford, the guy was a monster, man. The guy was literally scoring left, right and centre. He had Tony with him there as well. Ivan Toney had a good season last season, and literally, Said Benrahma, he is probably arguably the best player in his nationality in Algeria. And I've got cousins who are Algerian as well, and they really buzz over him. I think he's gonna thrive in West Ham. I really do.
Yeah, he's a great player. He's a great player. With Aston Villa, it seems that they've capitulated this season already. They fell apart. Do you think they were overachieving last season in the sense of playing too well, or do you think that they're underachieving this season? Which one do you think it is?
I think this season, they haven't played so well. They're losing games. They're conceding a lot of goals. Then you get Leon Bailey coming in, and he's actually performed quite well. He's been their best player, but Aston Villa right now are just underachieving because you expect them to do so much better. You really do, because they spent a lot of money on Buendia, Leon Bailey, and a few other signings, I think. But they sold their best player, Jack Grealish, for 100 million, expecting this team's got 100 million in the bank. They're gonna go all out. But really they've gone all out and they haven't really shown it.
No,
haven't shown
not
the
at all.
qualities of them players. What's Buendia done since he's come? Leon Bailey
I think he's got one assist and that's it.
That's it.
Yeah, it's not great. It's not great at all.
It's really not great.
And at the start of the season, you would have said they've invested well, considering Grealish has gone and getting Ings, Buendia, and Bailey. However, it just doesn't seem to have worked out so far.
Yeah.
And it just doesn't seem to be working out for them so far. We'll move on though to the Norwich Leeds game. 3 goals in 5 minutes or something like that. It was very interesting, sort of dynamic to see Norwich score and they capitulated again. But it was a great goal from Rodrigo and a great goal from Rafinha. They seem to have not started very well though, Leeds. Do you think they'll manage again? Do you think they'll be in that relegation scrap, or do you think they'll pull themselves out of it?
No. I think Leeds will pull themselves out of that relegation scrap. I think they'll start winning games, but probably not against the top teams like Chelsea, United, and Man City, Liverpool. They won't win against them, but they'll win against I don't even think they'll probably win against West Ham. But other than that, they should get some points against the rest of the team, like Southampton, Norwich. Like they've just beat now. They've got to play them again, I think, at home. So I think they'll win that game, and they'll win a few games, and I think they'll have enough in the tank to stay up because Bielsa is a good coach. It's just that Bielsa doesn't like parking the bus, and sometimes in football you've got to be defensive. You can't just go all out attack when you're leading 2-0 because it could be dangerous. Like we've seen it against Wolves versus Everton as well. Like Wolves were 2-0 in front, and then Everton gave them that little bit of scare. Like it always shows that a 2-0 result is not enough in the Premier League because anything can literally happen. So I expect Leeds to stay up. I definitely do. They've got quality players. They've got Rafinha. They've got Rodrigo. They've got that Calvin Phillips. He's a very good player, and they've got enough to stay up. I don't see them getting relegated.
Yeah, I expect them to stay up. I just think that they didn't start well, obviously, so I wanted to sort of pose that question. Now, this Wolves-Everton game, I didn't watch this game because I was watching TV.
I watched it
with my mum. Okay, so obviously you'll be able to definitely give more of a perspective than me. I certainly didn't watch it. Raul Jimenez back on the score sheet again. It's nice to see him doing well. Back from injury. That it was a horrible injury, wasn't it?
Yeah, it's just after an injury, after any player gets injured and they come back and score, it always puts a smile on every fan. It doesn't matter if you're a fan of that club or not a fan of that club. It really does put a smile because that head injury, whatever injury it was really it was a bad injury, and just to see him come back and score that goal, what came from an error from Ben Godfrey, but it's just very good to see Raul Jimenez start coming back to his best.
Of course, yeah, it's great. It's great to see. Do you think that Wolves are better off with Bruno? I'm not sure how to pronounce it. Bruno Lage or Bruno Lage than they were with Nuno, or do you think that they're going to be quite similar in how they play and similar in the league position?
I think they can finish top 8 or top 7 at best because Bruno Lage is starting to get some wins in. They've still got Pedro Neto to come back. Like, they haven't got their best team out there so far, and they're still winning games. So once their best player comes back, I think they can start, scraping some wins and really, causing trouble for the top 6.
Yeah, of course, yeah. That's going to be it for today's podcast, though, guys. I'm sorry if it was very sort of scuffed. I'm sorry that there was that Fadz couldn't get his camera on as well. I appreciate you coming. No, it's no problem. I appreciate you coming on last minute. As I say, Fadz literally came on last minute. My guest cancelled within the space of like 5 minutes, so I had to sort of find a guest.
Definitely, man. Thanks for having me on, man. I appreciate it.
Anytime. You were a great guest.
Point of view from football, and next time you make one, just be sure to drop me a message, and I'll join again.
Of course, yeah. You're always welcome. You can ask me to join it anytime. You're always welcome. But I appreciate you coming on. I hope you guys that did manage to join enjoyed it. I normally live stream at 2 p.m, so there's a lot less people. It's like 10 less people in here. But I appreciate it. I'm going to end that there. Thank you guys for joining, and have a